1.24 trillion naira, or 9.94%. Ms. Ode has stressed that the total domestic debt stock rose from 20.64 trillion naira as of March 31st to 20.75 trillion naira as of June 30th this year, indicating an increase of 1.11 trillion naira, or 5.38%. In the meantime, a financial analyst, Mr. Yinka Andrews, has advocated that the federal government should be given the prerogative of collecting value-added tax, VAT, for proper administration to all the states of the country. Mr. Andrews was speaking on platform at OSBC Current Affairs program today, said that tax will help the federal government to finance budget deficit. He however sued for fiscal federalism, wherein states of the federation will be able to fend for themselves financially. Speaking on the issue of borrowing, the financial expert justified the federal government's action if the move will be righteously used to fund deficit in the 2021 budget and for the purpose for which it was borrowed. After initial denial, the Nigerian Air Force, NAF, has admitted that one of its fighter jets on a mission against a rogue terrorist unfortunately bombed civilians in Yobe State yesterday. NAF's Director of Public Relations and Information, Edward Gapquet, disclosed this in a statement today, adding that investigation has commenced into the incident. It will be recalled the residents of Buhari community in the Yunusari local government area of Yobe State had claimed that an NAF fighter jet rained bullets from the skies and killed 9 people in the area, while several other villagers sustained injuries. Air Force spokesman had equally denied the reports linking one of its fighter jets to the bombing. Gapquet has explained that the mission last conducted by NAF in Yobe was earlier in the month. Election of chairmen and councillors for the 21 local governments of Adamawa State has been shifted to the 14th of December this year. The election, which was initially scheduled for November 27, has been shifted forward by 1 week. The Adamawa State Independent Electoral Commission, ADSEC, announced the shift today in a statement. The statement signed by ADSEC Head of Information, Daniel Zira, explained that the shift followed a meeting with representatives of political parties in the state. The current chairmen and councillors were elected across Adamawa State on the 7th of December 2019. This is the news across the country, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Iliawiye Kebale Oshibo. Now, a mid-news message. Better is the poor that walks in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. Nigeria has recently witnessed an increase in the number of trained and skilled labor migrating to other countries, most especially Europe and Saudi Arabia. Many of the immigrants are trained in Nigerian universities, which are highly subsidized by government. Report of the week looks at the effect of these human exports on the current socio-economic development. Adeyemi Aboderi has a report.
The reasons for Nigeria's persistent brain drain are not hard to diagnose. A crippled economy, failing infrastructure, porous security, human rights violations, and high unemployment rates are just some of the many reasons young people are running out of the country for greener pastures. At the current rate, the mass exodus does not appear to be ending any soon. The consequences of this drain sees the country spending billions of naira training its skilled manpower only to lose its capital to other countries. It is estimated that Nigeria has spent upwards of over $2 billion training doctors and other medical personnel who have subsequently migrated. These human capital exports have raised many concerns about the consequent deprivation to many of the country's struggling sectors, particularly the health sector, which has seen the exit of its doctors and nurses in droves in recent years. The country's health sector currently suffers one of the lowest doctor-to-patient ratio in the world. The Nigerian Medical Association claims that there are 40,000 doctors in its register, far below the needs of the teeming population of about 200 million. This problem is not limited to the health sector alone. Science, technology, and education sector are other major areas suffering from a dearth of qualified professionals. The reasons are not far-fetched. A severe lack of adequate infrastructure and worthwhile remuneration is a major driving factor for the emigration of skilled professionals. This leaves a massive load for those left behind to carry. The recent viral video of officials from the Ministry of Health of Saudi Arabia conducting recruitment for the striking Nigerian resident doctors in Abuja is one of such handy instances. The most heart-wrenching is that of the resident doctors in public hospitals who have been on an indefinite strike since August 2nd over grievances that borders on delayed payment of salaries and allowances, with end not yet in sight. As important as the role of these doctors is to the health and well-being of Nigerians, one would have expected a speedy resolution of the bone of contention by the federal government. This is never the case. The Saudi Arabia country that values excellence instantly seized the opportunity and moving to recruit and ship these doctors to their country. Certainly, this must have served as an embarrassment to the powers that be and subsequently unleashed the operatives of the DSS on the recruitment center. The question is, how would the country be saved from further embarrassment on the emigration of the country's best brain to other countries? A public affairs commentator, Prince Adesoji Adeleke, wants government to improve on infrastructure and remuneration for the professionals.
Every one of us are looking for survivor. As we are here, we are looking for survivor. Your salary is not enough for you. Look at rice now, bag of rice, 25, 26. How much is level 8, level 9, level 10? How much are they earning? Not to talk of we businessmen. So I don't blame them. Instead of joining rogues, they need to train their children, they need to train their family, to maintain their family. So I'm supporting them. It's only I, and people like me, we cannot live. We need to make them comfortable to increase their salary.
The onus is now on the authorities to holistically address the root causes of the brain drain as quickly as possible. For Report of the Week, Adeyemi Aboderi reporting.
The Director General of the Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, the OSBC, Mr. Rashid Folarami, has said the corporation will not relent in promoting its tripod functions of informing, educating, and entertaining its numerous listeners and viewers. Mr. Folarami reaffirmed this today by playing host to members of the Rotary Club International District 9125 in the conglomerate's boardroom, while assuring of his corporation's desire to assist in pushing the goals of the club. The Director General stressed that OSBC has the mandate to translate the policy programs of the government to the masses in a way conceived manner. Earlier, the governor of the club, Mr. Ayola Uyedokun, has requested for a clear translation of government programs so as to allow the government to key into its agenda. The Adegboyega Oyetola administration has restated his commitment to infrastructure development towards bringing economic growth and prosperity to the state. Commissioner for Information and Civic Orientation, Mrs. Funke Bemode, disclosed this in a statement in Oshobo. She announced that the state government has approved the construction of the 9.65-kilometer Ilaolagun-Tafabalogun junction around Kwara state boundary in Ilan local government area of the state, which was estimated to be completed in 8 months via the alternative project funding approach. According to her, the government also approved the reconstruction of Ikirili Junction, Isopaku, Lawyer Tanda Road, in a wall spanning 2.55 kilometers by direct labor, which is scheduled to be completed in 6 months. While the governor, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, has been lauded for ensuring that textile dealers in the state stand thrive in the commercial activities by abolishing single uniform in and created platform for direct textile dealers to improve their game by producing quality direct clothes for civil servants, hence create more job opportunity in the state. President of the textile dealer groups in the state, Halaja Mesitura Adedapo, gave the commendation during an engagement meeting with a special advisor on civic engagement, Honorable Latumbo Sonyi Chuloye, in Oshobo, the state capital. The appeal to Governor Oyetola to institute a world standard textile industry that will create more jobs and rejig the economy of the state, as well as involve them more social interventions and grants that can boost their businesses, especially through opportunity of banks of industry and Central Bank of Nigeria. In his remark, the special advisor to the governor's civic engagement, Honorable Latubo Soyinjule, noted that the outrage was hinged on the quest of the present administration to engender inclusive and participatory governance where no strata in the society is left behind. The coordinating director of the State of Osun Ministry of Information and Civic Orientation, Mrs. Olubukola Aderugbe, has identified information officers as custodians of public information, hence the need for them to be proactive in adequately reporting government developmental activities to both the internal and external publics. She gave the charge during a meeting with information officers serving in all ministries and extra-ministerial agencies in the state, urging information officers in the employ of the state government to be proactive in the reportage of government policies, programs, and activities in their various duty posts, while appreciating their officers individually and collectively for their untiring efforts in publicizing government activities. Ms. Aderugbe challenged them to do more in the area of disseminating information about the developmental strides of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola. The meeting availed the press officers the opportunity to analyze individual and corporate challenges confronting them in various ministries, departments, and agencies with which the management promised to tackle. The online application for the Nigerian Army recruitment exercise for the 82nd regular recruitment intake has commenced. Secretary to the State Government of Osun, SSG, Prince Wole Oyebamiji, in a release today informed that the recruitment exercise will be brought to an end on the 26th of November. Prince Oyebamiji advised interested indigents of the state to apply for free through https://recruitment.army.mil.mil.ng. He said interested applicants will be screened online, while successful shortlisted applicants will be invited to attend the physical, mental, and academic qualification screening exercise at the Nigerian Army Barracks at a date that will be announced later. The SSG enjoined interested indigents of the state to check the Nigerian Army recruitment portal for eligibility criteria and the application form as appropriate. A one-day program organized by Christ Apostolic Church, Mountain of Praise and Power, Ire in Bolupe local government area of the state of Osun begins this Saturday. The program, with the theme God of Miracles, also the church auditorium, Ire, beside Oluoma House, Ire, are released by the presiding pastor of the church, who also doubles as the chief host, Evangelist Coyote Kinde, indicates that the program, 7 Hours with God, begins in the morning and ends in the evening. The release states that Pastor Gideon Obiwale of Oshobo District Coordinating Council, Pastor Coyote Kinde, District Superintendent, CAC Mountain of Praise and Power, Evangelist Olaiwola Istra, Pastor Samuel Folorenshaw, and Lady Evangelist Bolua Tife are among the servants of God that will minister at the program. 4 of the 5 Southeast governors were absent at the Southern Nigerian Governors Forum meeting holding in Enugu commenced today. Enugu Governor Ifeanyi Ogwuanyi, who is hosting the meeting, is the only governor from the Southeast present in the meeting. His counterparts from Abia, Ebonyi, and Imo sent representatives, while that of Anambra State did not send any representatives as of the time of filing this report. The closed-door meeting, which has been coordinated by the Ondo Governor, Arakuni Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, commenced with 9 governors and 7 deputies. The governors, first ushered into a security guard of honor, were later received by Ogwuanyi at the government lodge. It is expected that the outcome of the meeting on the current national issues, release of Nnamdi Kanu, and ban and open grazing could be made known in a communique. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, Horizon, has threatened to embark on another industrial action over federal government's refusal to implement the Memorandum of Action, MOA, signed with the union in December last year. It accused the federal government of breaching most of the timelines on the MOA, including payments of 30 billion naira by January as part of one tranche of the 220 billion naira which it alleged had been in the vaults of the Central Bank of Nigeria since then. Briefing reporters today in Awka, Zonal Coordinator Comrade Uzo Onyebinama said it was unfortunate the union will contemplate another strike barely 9 months it suspended the last one. They have said they're left with no choice since it seems strike is the only language the government understands. He refuted government's claim on white corruption being addressed by IPPIS in universities, financial management, calling for release of white paper and reports of the visitation panels, as well as reconstitution of the governing councils of the Free Universities of Agriculture at Abeokuta, Makurdi, and Umotike, respectively. And now to sport. FIFA President Gianni Infantino watched as the Super Falcons beat the female Eagles of Mali 2-0 in the opening game of the Aisha Buhari Women Invitational Tournament in Lagos. Adeyemi Abodeni has more on Sports Update.
The much-anticipated Aisha Buhari Women's Football Tournament has kicked off at the Mobolaji Johnson Stadium, Onikan, with the opening ceremony witnessing the presence of dignitaries, which included FIFA President Gianni Infantino, CAF President Patrice Motsepe, and Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, among others. The opening game between the Super Falcons and the female Eagles of Mali started with both sides posing attacking threats, and the Malians matched the Super Falcons in every department with the gridlock in the defense of both teams. The first half ended in a draw as none could find the back of the net. The second half resumed with the Super Falcons doing everything to open the defense of the Malians to no avail, with the game looking to end in a draw. Two quick goals from Monday Gift, assisted by Asisat Oshuala, gave the Super Falcons the edge over the Malians, who indeed gave them a good fight. Cameroon and Morocco had squared up against each other today in continuation of the tournament. Former Ajax and Real Betis winger Finidi George has joined 8 times Nigerian champions Enyimba International Football Club of Aba on a 2-year contract, a legend of Nigeria's men's senior national team. George made 62 appearances for the Super Eagles in an illustrious playing career that lasted up to 15 years. He was a key member of the glorious era that won the African Cup of Nations in 1994 and represented the countries at 2 FIFA World Cups in 1994 and 1998. At club level, Finidi George won the UEFA Champions League with Ajax in 1995 and went on to play for Real Betis, Al Saudi Mallorca and Ipswich Town in England. His first official game as Enyimba head coach will be the CAF Confederation Cup second preliminary round fixture against Senegalese side, the Ambas Football Club, next month. Blessing Okagbare's quest for justice after being handed a 4-year ban by the World Athletics after failing an out-of-competition drug test was unsuccessful and may be out of action until 2024. The sprinter was thrown out of the Tokyo Olympic Games on the eve of the semi-finals of the women's 100-meter after testing positive for a banned stimulant. She, however, appealed against the suspension, insisting on seeing the result of her B samples. A source suggests that she might return before the 2024 Paris Olympics. Tunisia has retained the Men's African Nations Volleyball Championship title after a 3-1 win over Cameroon in the final in Rwanda. Both teams had already clinched places at next year's World Championship after reaching the final. The result brings Tunisia their 3rd straight title and 11th overall. The 2022 World Volleyball Championship will hold in Russia next year. Sport Update returns tomorrow. My name is Adeyemi Abodeni.
The news across the country, here again are the major points. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has said its boss, Mr. Abdulrashid Bawal, is hale and hearty after he slumped during an event today at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The Director General of the Debt Management Office, Mrs. Patience Oniha, says the country piled up 2.36 trillion naira debt stock in 3 months. The Academic Staff Union of Universities also has threatened to embark on another strike over federal government refusal to implement the Memorandum of Action signed with the union in December last year. And that was the news across the country. It was delivered by Tunde Adeyemo. For more about us, visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening and good evening.
Yes, strut up. OSBC Radio 210.5 to the round. Yeah, man, state of Ashu. Yes, you must come my mic and make me do this. Yes, strut up fire set to me. OSBC.